very low to the ground, as you are. Not my favorite part of the circuit. Indeed, if you do go to Silverstone, try to go to the old pits right up at the top of the circuit where the F2 and GP3 paddocks are. Great atmosphere there. Not too many spectators, oddly, seem to find their way there. Anyway, going through the corners now. Turn 1 is a quick corner, a right-hander that's almost flat, probably flat in qualifying. Going to be a very spectacular corner for the Formula One cars this year, 2018. 1 is impressive. There's a kink after that, and then hard braking for 3 and 4. The back straight, this is a DRS zone. Down towards the complex, turn 6, 7. Turn 7 is an area where you will see Sebastian Vettel doing his patented straight line V cornering. Shows up a lot here. Lewis even mentioned it when I was doing a lap with him last year in a Mercedes, high-powered Mercedes road car. He said, this is where Seb does this. And indeed, he does brake in a straight line, goes to a slow mid-corner rotation point, which is the apex of the V, and then a straight line exit. Most of the other drivers, and particularly Lewis and Max Verstappen, will be turning in relatively early on the brakes, getting the nose to work, given by the amount of brake pedal release there, giving the brake pedal pressure, and of course trying to tease the throttle on as soon as possible. Turn 8 is a flat-out kink, but then we approach turn 9, or to you and I, Copse Corner. One of the great corners in Formula One, very, very fast. The radius has been changed over the years, but still, if you stand on the outside of Copse, in the spectator area, dead in line with the turn-in point, you will see big differences between one driver and another, particularly even within the same team, between Daniel and Max Verstappen, between Lewis and Valtteri. And most noticeably, you'll see Fernando Alonso with his flick as he goes into the corner, and you'll see Lewis Hamilton just beautifully, seamlessly getting his Mercedes into Copse. Great place to watch. Accelerating out of there, flat, what this race is all about. Look at what Lewis Hamilton has received when he's won races in the recent past. Nigel Mansell before that, and John Watson, who we have in this show, experienced it for the first time in 1981 when he won. David Coulthard, another British favourite. Lots of atmosphere always at Silverstone. The British crowd really embraced their Formula One and their Formula 2 and their GP3. And if you're at Silverstone this weekend on Thursday night, don't miss us at the Whittle, and some prizes. Don't miss it.
Toto Wolff, the team boss for Mercedes, has acknowledged that the team's cars were performing better at the most recent Canadian Grand Prix, and is optimistic that this will hold true in the upcoming British Grand Prix. Toto Wolff admits that Mercedes aren't back yet, but he is feeling hopeful about their prospects. Lewis Hamilton and George Russell appeared to be competing with the leads over the final 10 laps of the Canadian Grand Prix, with Hamilton nearly keeping up with the two cars in front. At one point, it appeared as though he would be able to pass Carlos Sainz, but the Briton soon began to lag behind the Ferrari in front. While Wolff acknowledges that things were a little better, he thinks there's still a lot of work to be done to get his drivers in the same ballpark as the leaders. There has been much talk about how Mercedes appeared stronger at the race, but a lot about how the race unfolds has to do with qualifying, so the team gave us an update on their recent qualifying performance, and let's dive into that subject first. Mercedes has provided an explanation on why trying to perform better in qualifying can make them struggle more on race day. The team appeared to be having trouble getting things going for the Canadian Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton's W13 placed 4th, while George Russell fell back to P8 after a late gamble on slick tyres that failed in the changing circumstances. While Hamilton securing his first podium since the season-opening race in Bahrain, the event turned out to be a brighter day for the Silver Arrows. Russell came in 4th, not far behind. Technical director Mike Elliott provided an explanation for why the team's performance in the race appeared to be significantly better than on qualifying day in a race debrief video that was released publicly by the team following Montreal. I think it's fair to say that you're always trading between qualifying and race performance, Elliott explained. And if you look at what's important, then generally race performance wins. You can see if you look at some of the cars we're competing against, some of the cars that beat us in qualifying this weekend, you will see that their race pace was poorer. And I think that is just the trade you make, rather than something that there is to underlyingly fix. As a result, Elliott acknowledges that striving to increase qualifying performance has the potential to limit gains on race day. We know we can probably take steps to improve the qualifying performance, but we'll probably hurt the race performance as a result of that, he added. And we think we've got our balance roughly in the right place for the car we've got at the moment. Elliott claims that Russell's decision to take a chance on slick tyres in Q3 was his own and not the team's. Mercedes appreciated taking the chance even though it didn't pay off. To be honest, it was George's call, Elliott continued. George has been saying all the way through qualifying that the track was going to move progressively towards slicks, And while we thought that was really surprising, really enjoyed that. So the risk points on Sunday, mostly due to Perez's DNF and Leclerc window that we had, Wolff continued. But we own the problem. We need to fix it. Mercedes is now hoping that they can run the car lower in the upcoming British Grand Prix in order to be even more competitive, particularly for Hamilton and Russell's home race. Wolff is nonetheless Spanish Grand Prix, only to face a more difficult weekend in Monaco 1 week later. If we're able to run the car low, then we can be competitive, Wolff suggested. Mercedes technical director, the new parts they bring to the race at Silverstone will hopefully deliver better speed. The Brit, however, also takes a realistic look to the British Grand Prix and claims that Mercedes is obviously trailing Red Bull Racing and Ferrari in the standings. For Lewis Hamilton and George Russell, a victory at their home race also appears to be challenging. And in a normal race, that's Lewis winning in Silverstone is going to be tough. As was obvious at the Barcelona race, he anticipates Silverstone to be a circuit that slightly better suited the team. George Russell came in 3rd place overall, while Lewis Hamilton came in 6th during the race in the Spanish city. Although winning at Silverstone doesn't seem likely, the team hopes the new components will help them get close to the front, and they'll do whatever is needed to try and win the race. He concluded, "Whatever happens, we definitely want to win. We want to win for the fans. Let's see what happens." Toto Wolff is becoming more and more realistic of their chances for race wins this season. As it seems, it will be tough.
حلبة سباق هي الأسرع على الإطلاق في أسرع سباق للسيارات في العالم. دقائق. مرسيدس أوتو يونيون احتلوا المراتب 8 الأولى، وبهذا كان هذا انتصارا ساحقا للألمان. السيارات كانت تشحن على المراكب، وهذا لم يكن أمرا سهلا. إيطاليا جعلت من سباق جائزة طرابلس الكبرى أحد أغنى السباقات في العالم. التاريخ ذاكرة الوطن، به نحترم.
The new cars were extremely thirsty, with only 1 or 2 miles for each gallon of special fuel. Lang was the most economical with the fuel and went into the lead when Braukic made an earlier stop.